Okay, one moment. You gave me my prompt.
I have a prompt that says it's streaming live now on YouTube. That helps.
Yep, we are streaming. Okay, one
All right.
moment.
Very
Hey,
good.
Dwayne.
Got it.
Dwayne.
Yeah, I'm here.
I just got an email from John Valley. He said he needs the Zoom code.
I sent it to him.
I'll send it. Okay.
Do we need to wait for Mr. Valley or can we get going?
Mr. Chair, this is John York. You can get going.
Okay.
We got some preliminaries to take care of.
Good morning, all. This meeting before the Akron Vacant Commercial and Industrial Building Appeals Board will now come to order. I'd like to start out by asking first for a motion to suspend the rules of this board requiring in-person attendance, in-person participation, and in-person voting. Any members care to make a motion?
I'd like to make a motion to suspend in-person appearance, voting.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye.
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 Opposed? None opposed? All right, next item we have on the agenda is approval of minutes of January 13th. Has everyone had a chance to review? And if so, is there a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from the January 13th board meeting.
Second,
I will second.
all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None opposed. The minutes are approved. All right. Before we start the case hearings, I'll read a short statement here. This board hears two types of cases involving particular properties. First being appeals of notices and orders to comply. Second being reports of hazardous buildings, all from the Department of Neighborhood Assistance. Representatives of the city, owners, other people in control of the property, neighbors, and other interested parties will all be recognized and given an opportunity to be heard concerning a particular property involved. We will ask that any person appearing today that intends to speak on a particular property be sworn in prior to their testimony at the time of their case hearing. Our order of presentation will be as follows. Chair recognizing those wishing to speak and offer opportunity for rebuttal and alteration in this order of presentation. First, the city will present a summary of the history of the property. Second, those speaking in favor of the appeal or in favor of rehabilitating the property will be heard. Third, those speaking against the appeal or against rehabilitating the property will be heard. And finally, those in favor will have the opportunity to respond to those comments of those against. With that, then, I'd like to move into the main agenda. We have 3 case hearings today, new case hearings, I should say. And the first one is 1-21, address 734 Canton Road. Mr.
Good morning,
Johnson.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board.
Mr. Johnson,
Yes, sir.
before you get started, I'd like to swear you in, and the other city staff who may testify. Do we have Mr. Freeland in the room?
John, I'm going to bring in, there were three of the 4 people who signed up to appear for this are in the waiting room. Should I bring them in now?
Yes.
There are also 2 people who I have not yet identified that came in late. I may need to bring them in to identify them to see if they might be one of them might be the 4th person on this list. So one moment.
Okay.
Bringing in Mr. Hoke, Mr. McKittrick, and Mr. Freeland. And then I'm going to bring in two unidentified people. Okay, well, the person with the phone number 925-206-2711, please identify yourself.
Yeah, my name is Abe Shaw with Green Earth Technologies Group.
Okay, Mr. Shaw, I'm going to rename you and put you back in the waiting room to call you back when your case is heard.
Okay.
Thank you.
What are you going to?
Oh, it looks like K88 is Mr. Burke again.
Yes.
Okay, that should do it, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Mr. York, do we need to swear everybody in first?
Yeah, yes. Okay, any city staff who will be testifying anytime today, please raise your right hand. Any other members of the public or council members who are here to testify? I believe that would be Mr. McKittrick. Please unmute your microphone. Mr. Freeland, if you could unmute your microphone. Mr. Hoke, if you could unmute your microphone.
Okay.
Thank you. I believe that's everyone. If you all could please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
I do.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. York. Okay, Mr. Johnson.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Case number 001-21, address of 734 Canton Road is currently vacant, dilapidated, tax delinquent, not registered in the VBR. The deteriorated condition of this property makes it a public nuisance and a blight and safety hazard to the neighborhood. The tax delinquency amount that the Summit County website is showing as of today is $10,429.36. This property was purchased in 2012. I would like to also add that upon speaking with the owner, he said he paid this tax bill, but the records don't show that as of right now.
Okay. All right. Who do we have here to speak in favor of this?
Mr. Freeland, you need to unmute your microphone.
Yes.
Okay, is that better? Hello?
Yeah, we can't see you now. We saw you there for a second.
Yeah, I've never
We can
done
hear
this
you.
before. I'm talking like a regular phone.
Okay. And you are the property owner?
I am the property owner.
What can you tell us about this?
When I first bought it, we were going to reopen it as the Outlet Meat Market and have the other original owner run it for us. And he had we had it all fixed up, ready to open. He had high demands for having it open, so he was out of the picture. So we were going to go to plan 2 and open it later. And a friend of mine was maintaining the building and the property until he passed away. And it's got minor things that need done to it. It's not dilapidated. We just had the fire inspector in, and he verified it's a low risk. And a couple of things right off the bat. I'm on vacation starting Saturday until the 24th, and everything that he had in the report will have fixed. The only reason I haven't opened it sooner is because I work at the Postal Service and I wanted to wait until I retired. And in May, my birthday, I'll be ready to retire after 30 years. The taxes that he just mentioned are incorrect. We just called the tax bureau, and I told him that I had delivered tax bills for this year last week, and I didn't get mine. So they gave me the taxes due are 35, 20, 39 for this first half. My back due taxes, which we pay every month on a coupon, we owe $3,146 is all, not $10,000. I don't know where they got that information, but it was wrong. The first thing we plan on doing is registering the building with the neighborhood assistance people. I just talked to one the other day during the thing. It was very informative. And we have a truck blocking the parking lot so that people can't get around behind it, because the last time they broke in. And we contracted with a fence company to put in 2 reinforced posts and run a chain across it. But he wanted to know what the easement would be off the street. And I told him, the corner of the building across would be fine. But I wasn't sure. Then we're going to hire a building maintenance manager to take care of the minor things that come up that we need. And we plan on, we have equipment in there now that we've been collecting that we're going to sell, and we're going to open up a equipment sales company in association with the Equipment Connection on Manchester Road. We're going to do it starting online at first and use eBay and Facebook. I've got a friend that retired from the Children's Services, and she's going to take really good pictures, and she's used to posting this stuff online, and I'm good at the eBay part. Then while we're there working, we're going to remove the old equipment from the Ella Meat Market part and replace it with newer, updated equipment, and eventually open up the meat market. That's the plan.
Okay. How long has it been vacant?
It's always had, we've been putting equipment in and working on the building. We haven't been open since I bought it. We tried to a couple of times. And I'm a little nervous.
Oh, don't be nervous. It's all good.
But Shelley's talking to me in the background. I can't. We kept it up for a really long time until my friend passed away, and I was still working as a mail carrier, and I didn't. We hired people to mow the lawn and stuff like that, and half the time they wouldn't show up and do it, things like that. But I'm ready to retire now. I just want to make sure that financially, no matter what we did, it'd be okay in the future, and so that's why we've waited.
Okay. Members of the board have any questions for Mr. Freeland?
Mr. Freeland, I have a question, Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead.
Mr. Freeland, do you have someone now to operate it as you want to be, or are you intended to operate it?
My friend Shelley, the retired person from the Children's Services, she's going to go in and start selling the equipment. We have a vendor's license coming from the state. Should be here anytime. She's talking to me. I can't. Oh, from the city. Okay. I thought it was the state.
Okay. Also, Mr. Chairman, you said a fire inspector inspected. I'd like to know who it was and do they agree with his assessment?
Mr. Dixon,
Steve
can you
Dort.
shed any light on that?
Yeah, Ellis, that was myself and firefighter Dort. We were there, a couple days ago. The biggest issue that I saw with the building was the amount of storage inside. No matter where you went in the building, you had to walk sideways because you couldn't walk straight because there's no aisleways in the building. And I talked to the building owner about that. He was going to empty it out. And there was parts of the building that we couldn't even access just because of the amount of storage. That was our biggest issue.
Storage only, is that correct?
That was the equipment that we acquired to resell. So we are emptying out some of that to clear up the aisles. He's coming back in March 4th, I believe, and it'll be all taken care of then, by then.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Rowland,
Yes.
could we get Mr. Dixon to state his name and position for the record?
Yes, Mr. Dixon, please
Yeah,
identify yourself for the record.
Lieutenant Jamie Dixon, Akron Fire Department, Community Services and Fire Prevention Bureau.
Okay. And Mr. Dixon, maybe just to help us picture this building, could you describe it? Is it just one building on this lot? And is it like one floor, two floors?
Yeah, there's one
Basement?
floor, and in the back, there's an attic space, and part of the building has a basement.
Is it sort of like a retail storefront?
That's kind of what it looks like, yeah. Yeah, and then it looks like there's an addition on the back of it, so it's cut up just a little bit inside with multiple rooms, but yeah, it's just one floor.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Sure.
Okay. We have other people in meeting here. Is there anyone here to speak in favor? Anyone else in favor? Not hearing anything. So anyone here to speak against rehabilitating this property? No other comments?
I would, Bob Hoke, former councilman for Ward 6.
Mr. Hoke, go ahead, please.
Thank you. Yes, as a former councilman and back in 2012, when the building was sold, I was contacted about the sidewalk and the tree. There were trees out front that were planted, and the new owners were concerned about the access to the building and getting people in and out, to operate the meat market. So we got the city right away came out and took out the trees and the bricks and everything around it, and fixed the sidewalk, and nothing happened. And as councilman, I handed in different complaints, numerous complaints from residents around here that about the building and about the appearance of it, and that nothing was being taken care of and nothing was being done for years. And I know part of the complaint was that the truck that was sitting in the entranceway was broken down, had no tags, or expired tags on it, and the lot in itself was overgrown with weeds and grass and unkept. The outside of the building, paint peeling, and very much an eyesore. Looking in, and of course looking in the window and talking about all the product that's sitting in there, all the equipment, it's just all stacked up and it's dirty and just looks very unkept, and it's been that way for 9 years. And it just seems like, I know Mr. Freeland was talking about all the things that he's in the process of doing, but this has been going on. and I know that I talked to neighborhood assistants in the past about whenever the vacant building was set up, and that he just did not come around and did not respond to any of this. Now all of a sudden, it's being done, and I know I heard 9 years ago that he was going to retire from the post office and open it up as a meat market, and it just hasn't happened. The surrounding area around there, I know the building next door to it has sold not too long ago and has a new business in there. The old Knights of Columbus building was sold, and they're working on that and getting that fixed up. So the area is coming back around. It's becoming a more viable business district. And this is not helping, and something needs to be done. I wouldn't mind seeing it open back up as the meat market or as a business in there. It definitely would enhance the whole area if it would, but 9 years is enough, and it something has to be done, and if there isn't something that's going to be taken care of, I don't think the residents of Ellet really want to look at this much longer. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Could I respond to that?
1 second.
Okay.
Yes, you will have a chance.
Okay.
Mr. McKittrick, did you care to speak today?
Yes, I would. Thank you very much. Yes, this property has been in this condition for quite some time. Mr. Hoke is very correct. I know during his tenure and being at some of the ward meetings at that time, there were many of the residents that would ask about it at the meetings, and even seeing them in passing, they would complain. I think that given the aspect of the vehicle, it's there. It does not have any plates. It's been there for a long time. In the summertime, the weeds grow up very tall. Nothing's taken care of. Not being on the registry, that's concerning. It just shows a pattern of behavior, which makes me very doubtful that it's going to change at this point. I think that given the time that we've dealt with this, and nothing's really seemed to make any change, I think it really needs to be dealt with at this time rather than continue to wait. Thank you.
Could I add that Mr. McKittrick is the current Ward 6 City Council person?
Thank you, Mr. Valley. Okay, Mr. Freeland, you may respond now to those comments.
Okay, the first ex-councilman, we did try to get him to fix the sidewalks because people couldn't walk on the sidewalks because the tree roots had raised the cement so high that they had to walk around onto the Ellet Meat Market property. So, and we tried to contact him and contacted him, but he would never do anything. So we had another councilman, what was his name? Gary Moneypenny had to take care of it and had everything straightened out then after he got involved with it. And yes, it has sat there, and sometimes we hire people to take care of it and they don't do it. The truck that's sitting there now was an excellent running truck until the people broke the window out, and it's always had license plates on it, but they steal the license plates because it has valid tags on it, and it's just blocking the parking lot so they can't get around the back and break in and loot the building. And, yeah, well, we had people that would take donations out of the local donation boxes and take it back there, and I don't know if they tried to close on back there or whatever, but we had to clean that up constantly. It's been a long time. It was an investment I bought when the opportunity came up. And now I can retire and be able to afford to take care of it and still be able to afford to live. And it's just something I was going to do in retirement. and my friend's ready to go. She's been ready to go. That's why we accumulated the equipment that's in there. It's not from the meat market. It's extra stuff that we bought, and so we could have the online auctions with the equipment connection. They're going to be involved, and we're going to open the business back up and go from there. I mean, the building, all it needs is, we kept the painting and everything up until my friend passed away, and we hired somebody to paint it last year, and he never got around to it. But in May, I'll be off work, so everything will be done and up to date. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Johnson, have you had a chance to inspect this property?
Yes, I have. I was out there with Mr. Dixon and the rest of the fire department personnel. And I've been out there and had an opportunity to inspect the exterior several times. And there has been some high grass and weeds. And there is the issue of that truck there, and some complaints from the new neighbor about the truck being there. And we advised the owner on Thursday when we were out there to remove the truck and put the chain across. I've also been in contact with Jeff Ross, who handles the junk cars, and if that vehicle is not removed, he's going to do whatever he has to do as far as what the law requires to remove that vehicle. But
what about the condition of the building?
The building is not too bad. It's salvageable. If someone does put the effort in there, it does need painting. There's no roof damage that we can see, no structural damage that we can see. There is some gutters that need to be replaced so the water doesn't, continue to go into the foundation and cause some problems. But we didn't see any structural damage that caused us to feel that there was an issue there.
Okay.
Can I comment too?
Go ahead, Mr. Freeland.
Okay. Yeah, the truck thing will be fixed as soon as we find out what the variance is to get the chain off the street. The fence people were going to put in 2 reinforced posts and run the chain across it, but they wanted to make sure they were far enough from the road. We can have the tow truck come and get the truck anytime, but it's just there until we can get that chain up. And the gentleman you're talking to from the assistance, he explained everything very well. We're going to register the building right away. I've never heard anything like that. And he explained it to me. He was very good in discussing everything, and I really appreciate that. I just couldn't remember his name. I've got thousands of names and addresses in my head, and I just have a hard time adding any more.
Okay.
That's it.
Well, just to be clear on what we're doing here this morning, this board is here to determine if this building is viable or is it dilapidated beyond repair. That's what we're here for. So
okay. The building is fine.
Issues are certainly important, but frankly, not under the purview of this board. So we're going to stick with that. And it's good to hear that you want to register. So everything that we're going to decide here today is going to be determined that way. With that, I'm going to turn it over to the members of the board for any other questions or comments. Well, if there are none, I'll ask the final time, is anyone here to speak for or against following everything we've heard?
Can I make another comment?
Who was that?
Bob Hoke.
Yes, please.
Thank you very much. I think that, the building is, like you said, and everybody else has indicated that it's salvageable. I think that it would be good to see that something would be taken care of and done with it. The problem is we've been waiting for 9 years. And the problem is that, Mr. Freeland has, made promises over those 9 years or ignored the last 9 years and has let things go to this point. And I think that if the board decides and rules that the building is okay and that it'll stay there as long as there's things that are going to be taken care of, and give Mr. Freeland some 30-day increments as to step through the process and get some things taken care of, so that we can see that he is truthful about wanting to get this back into business and opened up, and make it a viable business in the Ellet area. I would like to see that, but he's got to start making steps towards that. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, hearing none, board, we've heard testimony. I would ask for a motion at this time.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that case number 0001-21, 734 Canton Road. I'd like to give them a 60-day extension to get clean the building out, as he stated, the amount of equipment and other supplies in there. Also, I wanted to let Mr. Freeland know that when he hires someone to do the cleaning or painting or cutting the grass, if that's not done by whoever he hires, it's still his responsibility. So if he have to do it himself or get someone else to do it. And with that, I hope that he can see fit to get started on having this building renovated to where it can become another viable business in the Ellet district. And they said there was no structural damage. I think it is salvageable.
Okay, do you want to add registering as part of that?
Yes, and also register into the VBR board.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
I will second.
Mr. Chair, can I jump in real quick? Yeah, my guess, he probably needs to register for 19, 20, and 21. So I just want him to make sure this program's been in existence since 2019. So he would be responsible to register for all 3 of those years. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, could I say one thing also?
Go ahead, Mr. York.
Thank you. Just to clarify, I know the motion is for 60 days. The actual date of the next meeting is going to be April 14th. I'm sorry, 60 days from now. Roughly 60 days would be April 14th. That would be the April meeting. I just asked the board to consider April 14th in their motion.
Okay, I'd like to put April 14th in the motion.
Okay. Thanks for that clarification. Do we have a second?
I will second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And I will abstain. So the motion passes. Okay, Mr. Freeland, you have until April 14th to show some movement on these issues that we've talked about today. We'll see you back here then.
Okay.
Okay, are we ready to move on to the next item? Mr. Johnson, you good?
Hey, Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I don't have anyone in the waiting room for the next item on the agenda, the 597 Kenmore Boulevard.
Okay.
That was anticipated, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, well, let me go ahead and read it in and then we can start the discussion. This is case number 2-21, 597 Kenmore Boulevard.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, case number 002-21, address of 597 Kenmore Boulevard is currently vacant, dilapidated, lease activity, tax delinquent, and not registered in the VBR program. This deteriorated condition of this property makes it a public nuisance and a blight and a safety hazard to the neighborhood. It is tax delinquent in the amount of $135,549.77. This property was purchased in 2007.
So what do we have here? An absentee owner, can't get a hold of him?
Correct.
Okay. For the record, anyone here to speak for this? Anyone here to speak against this appeal? How secure is this building, Mr. Johnson? Were you able to get inside or just exterior?
We've been able to look inside of one of the areas, which doesn't look very safe to enter. But it has been open on occasion. The city has secured it. And from time to time, we have vandals or possibly even homeless people that have broken into this building. But on occasion, it does become open, but we haven't had permission to go inside, but I have stuck my head in there. I believe maybe members of fire department have been in there, and there may have been, I have to ask Jamie about this, but Jamie, can you confirm this? Wasn't there a fire here at one time?
Yes, there was. According to our records, April 3rd, 2018, there was a fire. And kind of like you, we haven't been able to get inside yet. We could kind of peek our heads in and you could see the fire damage throughout the back of the building.
Mr. Dixon,
Yeah.
if I could ask you once again, can you describe the building? What kind of?
So it looks like a storefront out front, brick, and the back is two-story wooden structure. Couldn't really say what it was, whether it was residential or a store. Not really sure.
Okay.
The records indicate, from what I understand, that the back of the building was apartments and the front was some sort of a hall or party center or something like that.
But just for the record, you're asking the board to consider the whole structure. If the board orders it, asking for the whole structure, whether it's one or two parts. Okay, thank you.
Was that a yes, Mr. Johnson?
Yes, yes.
Thank you.
All right, I see in the notes here, the police department responded to a call and indicated the building was not safe to go in either. Anything else to add, Mr. Johnson?
No, sir.
Need to hear from police and/or fire on this? If not,
Sorry, what was that last question?
was there anything you wanted to add about the condition of this building?
Not offhand. Like I said, we haven't been inside, so I can't really comment on the inside about how safe it is or anything like that. So I don't really have any comments on that.
Mr. Chairman, I have a question.
Paul, go ahead.
This question is for Mr. Johnson and Mr. Dixon. Did the fire or water damage did not destroy any of the structure of the building?
I can't really say for sure. From the outside, it didn't look like it, but like I said, we haven't been inside. It just looks all dark and black and with insulation laying everywhere. We just poked our heads in. We didn't actually get to go in to do an inspection. So
Roof still seem to be intact.
as far as I could tell, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Polk, I agree 100% with Mr. Dixon.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else? Questions? Comments?
I have a question for Mr. Johnson. Maybe I missed it, but have you ever had contact with the owner?
No, I haven't. And far as I can tell, none of the staff here at Neighborhood Assistance has either.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay. We've heard the testimony. Anyone care to make a motion? Fellow members?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion on case number 0002-21, 597 Kenmore Boulevard. Due to the owner's whereabouts unknown, vacant, dilapidated police activity, not registered, tax delinquent, I would recommend that we go ahead and start proceeding to demo this building.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye.
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 Opposed? None opposed? So demo has been moved and approved. Okay, last new case hearing, we have 3-21. It's 402 East Market Street.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board.
Sorry, Mr. I'm sorry, Mr. Chair. I'm going to bring Mr. Nguyen in now.
Okay. Mr. Nguyen, can you unmute your microphone? Can you hear us?
Hello.
Oh, okay. Mr. York, you want to swear Mr. Nguyen in?
Sure. Sir, could you raise your right hand, please? Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Johnson, would you like to summarize this?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Members of the board, case number 0003-21, address of 402 East Market Street. Mr. Chairman, this building is vacant, dilapidated, police activity, and all utilities are currently off. The deteriorated condition of this property makes it a public nuisance and a blight and safety hazard to the neighborhood. It is showing that it currently owes the amount of $4,919.44 in taxes, although the Summit County records does not say it's delinquent. So I believe that is just the amount owed for right now, his tax period. But the property was purchased in 2019.
Okay. So we have numerous photos of the inside. You've been able to access and inspect the interior?
Yes, I've been in there twice. The first time I was in there with Mr. Valley and members of the Akron Police Department. We found several, I believe it was 3 homeless individuals living in there, lots of trash. We were only able to get into the upstairs part of the building, and it looked quite terrible. But since then, we've re-inspected with members of the fire department, and Mr. Nguyen has removed the trash. The homeless people are no longer there. He has secured the building and started to clean it out. We subsequently was able to get into the basement and the ground floor, which all have separate access. Building needs a lot of work. needs a lot of work, but he has begun the process of cleaning it up, and I believe he has a plan.
All right, Mr. Nguyen, would you like to share the plan with us?
Yeah, sure. So when I purchased the building, it was already in the process of being gutted out. And so really, when I purchased it, it was just the building that was purchased. Inside, there's really nothing there. And so the plan is to open a coffee shop there. And the process has begun. However, in 2020, it's just been a very hectic year for me. All the architectural plan has been been on hold for that. And so I really haven't got a chance to do much with the building in terms of the renovation that it needs to have done. So in the fall, that was when I did a complete clean around the premises, have people clean out everything. Didn't really have much experience with the vacant building, and so had no I couldn't even imagine, it was a disaster, what has happened in there. And so because I didn't have much time to spend there, I hired a patrol company to help patrol the building. And of course, the first night that they were there, this all kind of blew up in my face. And that's when, it was brought to my attention that people has been living upstairs. I didn't even know that they could open the door up there. And so since then, of course, I had people come in and clean out everything. So the plan is still the same in terms of what I had envisioned for it. It will still be a coffee shop. But what will happen is that timeline obviously has to be moved much quicker now, given the fact that I'm faced with all of the vandalism that I just wasn't expecting. And so what I'm going to do is turn the top upstairs into an apartment. And then the bottom and the basement will still be a coffee shop. So that's the plan.
Good. So what is like the time frame for this?
I mean, I have my architectural people there already. And so my hope is to get the architectural plan permits, hopefully start renovation in the springtime here.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Anyone else wish to speak for? Anyone here to speak against?
Mr. Chair,
Mr. York?
could we get Mr. Nguyen's full name and address just for the record?
Sure. Mr. Nguyen, could you give us your full name and address, please?
Yeah, sure. First name is V-I-N-H. Last name is N-G-U-Y-E-N. Address is 2551 Spyglass Way, Uniontown, Ohio, 44685.
Thank you.
Oh, and in terms of the taxes, I pay all my mortgage and it has an escrow account, and so I'm not sure. I have to talk to my lender why that they're showing that there's such a high balance there.
Okay. Question for Mr. Johnson. Do you have an opinion on the soundness of the structure itself?
In my opinion, it looks fine. I believe Jamie can answer that question probably a lot better than I could.
Okay.
Yeah, it looked It looked pretty solid to me. There's a couple of minor issues in the basement that we pointed out to Mr. Nguyen. And he is going to have somebody, a qualified professional, come and check it out and give him some guidance on what he needs to do with it. But overall, it looked pretty decent.
Thank you. Fellow members, any questions? Okay. Last chance, anyone else to speak for or against? Hearing none, members? Given what we've heard, anyone care to make a motion on this one?
Okay, with respect to 402 East Market Street, 0003-21, it sounds like the building is in decent shape. The owner seems to have a plan. I would like to propose 90 days to attend to some of the issues that we brought up in this meeting, and then have him back and see what progress he's made, and hopefully it'll be great. And
Want to add registration to that?
oh, absolutely, absolutely.
Mr. Chair, just for clarification, 90 days would be the May meeting, and that'll be May 12th.
So, Mr. Burke, May 12th, fine with your motion?
It is fine.
Okay. We have a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None opposed? Okay, Mr. Nguyen, we have granted a 90-day extension in time for you to start to implement your plan. I'd like to see you back here May 12th with some good progress. All right?
Yeah, appreciate it. Thank you.
Good luck. Very good. Thank you.
All right.
Hey, Mr. Chair, I'm going to bring in who I believe is Mr. Shaw. He left and then came back, so I don't have his name on here yet. One moment.
Okay.
Would the person that I just admitted identify themselves, please? This is Mr. Shaw.
Hello?
Hello.
Yes, I'm sorry I got disconnected, so I had to come back into the meeting.
Can you state your name, please?
Yeah, it's ABE, and Shaw with the Green Earth Technologies. But we are doing a demolition at Bank Street. I go
Hold on
inside.
a second. Hold on a second. Mr. York, can you swear Mr. Shaw in?
Sure. Mr. Shaw, I'm going to swear you in.
Yes.
If you could please
All right,
please raise your right hand.
All right, sir.
Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, nothing but the truth?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Johnson, can we have an update on this one?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Shaw, hang on a second.
All right.
Case number 8-2355 Morgan Avenue. Mr. Johnson, please go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, case number 008-20, address of 355 Morgan Avenue, last reviewed on November 18th, 2020. At that time, the board recommended that the property manager or owners remove all garbage and rubbish and refuge, keep the property free of refuge, secure and keep the property secured, and continue contact with the city of Akron. So far, they have been doing their best keep this property secure, even though vandals continue to break in. Abe has kept in contact with myself and Mr. Valley. The refuge has been removed and then it comes back, and there's a lot of issues over there. But Mr. Abe has the responsibility of tearing down another blighted building that the city has over on Bank Street. They have started that process. They have indicated to us when they get done with that one, they will move over to Morgan Avenue and start the demolition there. He indicated that it would take about 3 weeks starting from last Monday to complete the Bank Street project, and then should be starting the demolition over on Morgan Avenue.
Thank you. Okay, Mr. Shaw, thank you for your patience. Go ahead and add your comments to this.
Okay, all our machines are in here. There are 2 more coming in that I'll send to Morgan to clean more of the insides. I had to pull the machines from our projects down south because up north we had so much snow that our permits were canceled for the road. So I pulled all the machines from our project in North Carolina. But there, yesterday we got 3 machines. Today there are 2 more coming in. And we should be through with Bank Street. The only thing that is holding us on Bank Street, there is a live gas line which belongs to a private party. I'm just waiting for that to be shut off before I can start tearing the building down. We have sent them emails to state that, but if they don't, then I will go and do it and have a private company come in and close it myself, regardless of what the owner does or not of that gas well that is in there, because I cannot wait. And then we're going to jump on to, I'm going to send a couple of machines to take more of the garbage out in about a week or so. I have now our own security that goes to Morgan at night and goes to Bank Street. They go between both. You'll see a truck with a light on, that's our security. And they go and flashlight. They are not going inside Morgan Avenue, but they are just hitting it with spotlights and stuff like that during the night. And as soon as Bank Street is done, I'm going to jump over to Morgan, and that project will take about 2 weeks because over there I can use a larger machine, so 2 or 3 weeks for demolition, not cleanup, but cleanup will take another 3-4 weeks from the C&D waste. But the demolition will be complete, meaning that the bricks and everything else will be on the ground, and then it's just the cleanup, C&D waste and stuff to go. The bricks, most of the bricks, we're going to be breaking and filling that pond behind us, the clean bricks and some blocks. But all the wood and paint and tires will go to different streams. So that's where we are. But we should jump in about three weeks because this Bank Street, we are bringing everybody to bear on this, so it's not a big deal. And I'll just leave a cleanup crew and send my demolition crew to Morgan Avenue. But we are in town. Getting it done.
So again, once you get started, how long do you anticipate to have bricks on the ground?
In about 2 weeks. That building, because it would have taken a week, but because it's so close to that, the front to the street, that we are doing it with hammers, hydraulic hammers, with lifts manually, meaning that the front, we don't want to bring the machines in on the road. And that would be manual. The front would be manual. The back side is all going to be mechanical. and it's the manual part that takes a little longer. The machine part is, I mean, 80% of the backside will be done within a week, but the manual, the front side will take a week because we got to do foot by foot.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, could I ask a few questions?
Yes, Mr. York.
Thanks. Mr. Shaw, my name's John York. I'm with the Akron Law Department. I have a question. You mentioned the pond, and that the plan is to fill in the pond with crushed bricks. Do you know where the water's coming from? You know where the water's coming from?
Yes, sir. There are fissures. There are fissures around the pond because when we drained it and it started coming back in, now it's frozen. But you can see from there are fissures from the storm drain area and other areas that are coming in. So the only thing we are going to do is what we have decided to is put a liner in there before we put the bricks in. And there is a thing called crushcrete, which is like concrete, but it's just to block the liner over, because we're going to build a parking lot on that area. We're not going to dig that area. That's going to be our parking lot on the backside. So the pond area, we have decided not to have to keep it in as a dual purpose, meaning that having more of a parking concrete and cover it with concrete at the end and not disturb it for years to come.
But what you're describing is that like concrete type substance that'll actually fill the fissures.
Yeah, what it does is after the liner, I don't want the crushcrete to go into the fissures because you do not want to block a fissure because it will find another way somewhere else, meaning maybe not in our property, but the water will always come and the fissures will always, because the soil over there, that area, it looks like from what we have done some borings and stuff, it looks like that the ground is more saturated, the bottom is more saturated than the top. So that area has either it was close to a pond, lakes or something, whenever, but so we want to block the fishes coming to us, but we do not. If we don't put the liner in, then what happens is the crushcrete goes into and starts blocking the fissures. And when the fissures are blocked, they'll find their way to other properties, and we don't want to be liable for that. So that's the reason we are putting it there. It's going to only protect our property as such, but it won't protect properties around it or what have you. But after we put the liner in, it will protect all the properties.
Okay. Mr. Scott.
Because the fissures go, they go to the least resistance. They make their way to the least resistance.
Right. That was my concern. If water's coming up from below and you just fill the hole, it sounds like it wouldn't solve the problem, but it sounds like you have a plan for that.
Yes, sir, we do.
Okay. So, Mr. Shaw,
yes,
it sounds like you're going to be in touch with the city's plans and permits office because you're going to need a demo permit for this.
Yes, sir. What we are doing is I'm waiting for the demo permit for this one because they wanted that live gas line, the Bank Street done. And then I'm going to get the demo permit from, on this thing. I have to submit them the demo plan, and my demo plan calls for this liner and stuff and sealing all the storm drains. So I'll be applying for it in next 2 days. But I want to get this Bank Street process started. Every day I get confronted by homeless. My security guard got confronted by them. They came with axes and stuff. So I need to get this down. This is my first thing to do. Is I really don't want any kind of human
Sure.
you
Well,
know,
Mr. Shaw,
something to the.
Mr. Shaw, I just wanted to make sure that you were going to be getting a demolition permit. And I wanted to make
Oh,
sure,
yeah.
that, so you know
Yes,
who to
sir.
contact at the city's office
Yes.
for plans and permits. So that very
Yes,
same
sir.
person, you want to talk to that very
Yes, sir.
same person about a grading permit. Because the city of Akron issues grading permits. And I just want to make sure you get the proper permit, since it sounds like you're going to be filling in that pond, which would be grading. Okay.
Exactly. That's the only thing. There's a company called Geotech. They are the one who are going to be, they are the one who are providing us the liner, and they're the one who are making the plans on how the liner is done. And we will have on that liner what is called a weeping hole, a pipe coming up that is like you do to the walls, you can do to that to a pond. It will just take any access that comes out, and then it comes to a point. But they are the ones who are making that for us.
So
Because,
they'll be seeking a grading permit as well?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
But I have to submit their plan. You know, they're the ones who are providing the liner and everything else, and how the liner has the weeping holes or what have you.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for the time, Mr. Chair.
No problem. All right. Anyone else to speak for or against? Members of the board have any questions? If none, anyone care to make a motion?
I'll make a motion, excuse me, for case 0008-20, 355 Morgan Avenue. I move to demolish the property, given that this is what the owner plans.
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Did we have a second? Who was our second?
Ellis.
Opposed? None opposed. All right. Mr. York, given that we've moved for and voted for demolition, is that the end of this one? We don't need to see them back?
Right. So, Mr. Shaw, the board ordered the building demolished. You'll still be able to go ahead and carry through with your plans. Everything you've intended to do, you can still do yourself. What the board has ordered is basically, if you fail to do what you're going to do, the city would have the right to come in and do it. Okay?
I understand.
So I believe the city's going to work with you, it sounds like. So we would just ask that you keep moving forward with your plan.
Yeah, and I'll keep on keeping everybody abreast. I know that you don't need anything from me, but I'll be emailing you pictures and stuff as we go forward.
Right. And to answer your question, Mr. Chairman, this will not need to appear on the agenda any longer. So, Mr. Shaw, you won't be coming back to the board anymore for this property.
All righty, sir. And I'll keep everybody, from pictures and stuff like that, and every week on what's going on.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Do we have representatives for 1079 Arlington in the room?
Yes, Mr. Chair, I'm admitting them now.
Very good. Okay, Mr. Williams, you want to unmute?
There we go. Morning.
Good morning. Mr. York, can we swear in the appellant?
Sure. Mr. Williams, you don't need to swear in. Mr. Yusefi, if you could raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, nothing but the truth?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so this is case number 18-20. Address is 1079 South Arlington Street. Mr. Johnson, do we have an update on this?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Case number 0018-20, address of 1079 South Arlington Street, was last reviewed on November 18th, 2020. At that time, the board ordered that all garbage and refuse be removed from the property and property be kept free of such refuge. Keep property secure and secure current property. Must address all repairs that the fire department violations indicated and show receipts and permits of work done. To date, there are some electrical issues that I will let the fire department speak to. We did speak to electrical contractor, Mr. Stephen Kilba. When I was out there posting, he had some serious concerns about the electrical situation in that building. He was hired to do an assessment by the owner. He indicated to me that he would not do the work because there was just too many issues there. Since then, we have inspected the interior of the property. There are still some minor issues, but he has also done some things far as repair to the wheelchair ramp. He has cleaned up the property. There's still some graffiti on the back. I think the pictures indicate that. There's still the open door to the patio. The upstairs window on the south side of the building is still being covered by a pillow, hasn't been repaired. On the north side of the building, there's still a broken window and there's still some roof issues. As far as the interior of the building, as I said, there's some issues, and the fire department, Mr. Dixon, I will refer to him as far as what electrical issues he had.
Okay, Mr. Dixon, can you update us then on the electrical problems?
Yeah, so it looks like he's had somebody in there working on the building, but there's still numerous issues. Lots of outlet covers that are missing, and there's outlets that are loose in the walls. I'm not an electrician, but a lot of the stuff to me appears to be not up to code. I would suggest that he should have a qualified electrician sign off on everything. Because like I said, I'm not an electrician, but it just appears to me that there's still numerous violations.
Thank you. Okay, Mr. Williams and Mr. Yusefi, would you care to update us on your end?
Yeah, I'm going to let Mr. Yusefi speak to the specifics, but the last inspection report was in November 16th of 2020 by Mr. Dixon. There were 8 violations at that time. The re-inspection yesterday indicated that 4 of the 8 have been completed to his satisfaction. Mr. Yusefi believes that he is working on the electricity. I guess we would need some more specifics, either from Mr. Dixon or someone as to precisely what needs to be done, because he did get a permit through Peak Electric. We submitted that to the board. And he's paid Mr. Peak for some work. We also, Mr. York had reminded us of the requirement to have the Summit County Building Department do an inspection, certify the work. The electrician has contacted them. They've indicated that they're going to provide a specific list, perhaps coordinating with Mr. Dixon's report of what needs to be done, so Mr. Peak can complete it. We can then have it re-inspected. On the things that aren't, I'm going to let Mr. Yusefi talk now. So I guess of the 8 things in violation, 2 of them have not been fully completed. That's the electric. There have been some work done, but not fully done. And we don't have the certificate of occupancy, which we have to get the work done on the electricity. The other things pass the inspection before you can apply for a certificate of occupancy. So those 2 remain to be done, but should be able to be accomplished. Mr. Yusefi wants to talk about the the door and the exit and egress lights, which Mr. Dixon said were still not corrected. He believes that they are. And that he also can say he's done some other work, I believe, on the door. And then we can decide, where we're going from here. But it's clear that in the last 3 months, there has been some significant progress made, and we're getting close to being able to close this case out in a positive way for my client.
All right, before Mr. Giuseppe gets going, I just have a quick question. So you said there were 4 of 8 violations that were corrected, and
That's per the report that Mr. Dixon emailed to me early this morning, which I appreciate. Thank you, Mr. Dixon.
so was there a confirmation of that on the city's part of that, or are you just saying you've got 4 of 8 done?
I can't speak for Mr. Johnson. All I can say is on Mr. Dixon's fire inspection report, he listed 8 violations and he's showing date corrected of yesterday per his inspection. So
that is correct. There are still 4
I
outstanding
just wanted to be
violations.
clear on who's approving it. Okay, I got it. Okay, sorry, Mr. Giuseppe, go ahead, please.
Yes, sir. As far as concern in regard to the door, there is only one act did not meet the requirement, and it will be taken care of at no time. As far as exit and egress light, I was there with the electrician. We went to every exit and tested it. It did test good. And 1 out of our 7 or so did not come on. The second time when we pushed, it was fine. And we didn't see any problem. Every one of them were tested over and over and did work. And I don't know, I'm not aware of a broken window that you just mentioned. Had I seen it, would have been taken care of. But I will go and see where that window is, and that would be taken care of at no time. Electrician will wait for this specific anything that is concerned to the Summit County or the board here. We will take care of it. The electrician will take care of it. Yes, there was one thing that yesterday they found out, that was the smoke detector. I missed that. I didn't see it, but it will be taken care of. And the gentleman told me that it should be raised a little bit higher, and the battery was out of that. And he said, this is an old one, should be up to date, that smoke detector. The rest, we did our best, and we will be more than willing to take care of anything of your concern.
Mr. Chair,
Sure.
could I ask a few questions?
Yes, please. Go ahead.
Mr. Yusefi or Mr. Williams, has a building permit been pulled for things like the repairs you mentioned to the ramp, the wheelchair ramp? Permit pulled for that?
Yeah, okay. That ramp was designed by I have the old architect design and everything in my power. The only thing was the side was taken out intentionally, and the contractor did not need any requirement for permit because the gold structure was there. It's made out of 8 by 12 logs, and those were not removed the only side, what do you call it? Panel was taken out and that contractor put it on. That contractor is a certified contractor and I have the bill from him submitted to the board.
Okay, the reason I ask, you may need to contact the county about a building permit and just explain what you've done. The reason I bring it up now is because when you go to get an occupancy certificate, the county's going to look at a lot of things. They're going to look at the ramp. They're going to look at electrical to see if the building's safe to issue the certificate. So it might make sense to deal with some of these issues ahead of time rather than at the end when you're trying to get your occupancy certificate.
I honestly appreciate what you said, and that's a guideline. Thank you.
Yeah. Mr. York, after the electrician did some work and you had made in your email to me indicated about, having the inspection. The electrician tried for quite a while to get a hold of the building department to come out. Apparently, at 4 o'clock yesterday, the electrician called Mr. Yusefi and said that the building department had contacted him and said, we have some specific things that we're going to forward to you regarding the electric, that this is what we want you to get done before it will pass inspection. So as soon as that document is provided to the electrician, then Mr. Yusefi can properly do the work that's been brought up by Mr. Johnson and Mr. Dixon in terms of any remaining problems.
Sure, that makes sense. That makes sense. The reason I just wanted to bring it to your attention before today is getting the permit is a great first step, but Mr. Dixon or Mr. Johnson can't approve the work. They're just not qualified. So we really need the county person who is qualified to come out and inspect and say it's either approved or it's not approved. So that's why I brought that up in my email of last week.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Sure.
And I do have the blueprint that architect charged me
for the ramp.
$1,100, and after that it was given to contractor.
Yeah, and again, it's the same idea. It's the same idea. We can look at that ramp and to us it might look sturdy. We might step on it and say this looks great, but it's the county people that actually know the specifics of how a ramp needs to be built. And if they say you need a permit for that, then what that would accompany is them coming out and inspecting and then approving it. It's sort of a safeguard for yourself as well, from a liability standpoint.
Yes, sir. Okay.
Thank you.
Anyone else to speak for? Anyone to speak against? Mr. Giuseppe?
Yes, sir.
Given that you're waiting on the county's requirements, which is a little bit of an unknown, once your electrician receives that, what is the estimated amount of time to get repairs done?
Definitely.
He wants to know how much time you think it might take to get those done. 30 or 60 days, I guess they want a specific number.
30 is fine.
Okay. I would ask my fellow members to ask any questions that they may have at this time. Okay, hearing none. Anyone else have anything else to add?
If, Mr. Chairman, if I could ask if Mr. Yusefi says that he believes that repairs can be done in 30 days, obviously he has to have a report from the county. Is that going to give us enough time, since the next meeting is March the 10th, I believe? I mean, we're willing to come back on March 10th and show that there has been some progress, but I don't know if everything's going to be done. So I just asking if it makes sense to go out 60 days. I'm just asking the question. We're not trying to delay the procedural issues here.
All right, well. We appreciate that. Again, members of the board, if there are no questions or comments, I'd look for a motion.
Mr. Chairman, on case number 0018-201079 South Arlington, due to the unknown about when the county can do an inspection, I'd like to give an extension for 60 days for Mr. Yusefi to get this building completed.
That'd be April 14th.
Yes, April 14th. And hopefully that I would like to see all of these issues completed. He said that he had 4 out of the 8. I'm hoping that he can have the other 4 completed. And that'd be my recommendation.
I'll second.
You have a second?
I
All in
second.
favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None opposed. Okay, Mr. Yusefi, we will see you back here on April 14th. We look forward to completion of all the items as noted.
Thank you very much. Have a nice day.
You too.
Okay, Mr. Chair, there's no one here to speak for the next case, 1655 South Arlington Street.
Okay. All right, well, hearing that, then let's introduce case number 23-20, address 1655 South Hawkins Avenue. Mr. Johnson.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, case number 0023, address of 1655 South Arlington Street. South Hawkins Street. Last review, January 13th, 2021. At that time, the board ordered that the structure be secured and inspected by the city, kept in contact with myself and the fire department. To date, we have been in contact with the owner and the person that is looking to put a business in there. They have gutted the inside and are starting the process of building it out. Most of the trash has been removed from the parking lot. There's still a small amount, but they're working right now, so I believe they'll get that. The homeless person that was living in the back that had the majority of the trash has finally left. I believe CSS has gotten her some help. We contacted the owner as soon as we were informed of that. They came out and cleaned up everything that the homeless person had left. So that part is clean. And we believe that they're starting to do the drywall work today. When we were in there yesterday, the contractor that was working in there said he was waiting on the delivery of the drywall. So there's been significant progress. And I'm surprised that he or his representative is not on this call.
Do we know what's going in there?
He was thinking about a party center. The young lady who is looking to rent the place from him, that's what she wants to do. But he's also keeping his options open. As I indicated last month, he has the building up for sale. When he finally did join the meeting late last month, he did state that he wanted to keep his options open as far as what he wanted to do with the building. So right now, Party Center could be something else, could be sold for somebody to do something else with it.
Okay, but you're satisfied with progress since last?
Yes, we are. Yes, we are.
All right. For the record, anyone to speak for? Anyone to speak against? Hearing none.
Mr. Chairman, I got a question.
Go ahead, Mr. Cook.
Mr. Johnson, when speaking with the repairs guy or the owner, did they say when this may be completed?
No, they didn't. When he did, if you guys remember, when he was on the call after the meeting last month, he said that the entire construction crew or the majority, one or the other, had contracted COVID, and that set him back. But he feels that they will, will ramp up here real soon, especially as the weather gets better, and maybe have this thing completed by spring or summer. But he didn't specifically indicate to me.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, looking for a motion then.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, case number 0023-2655 South Hawken Avenue. I'd like to recommend a 60-day extension due to progress that's being made on the building for Mr. Johnson. Even though there's no representative here for to speak on it, I'd like to give him an opportunity to complete it and he can move on with it.
And again, that's April 14th.
That's correct, April 14th.
Okay, very good. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? None opposed? 60 days have been granted.
Okay, Mr. Chair, I'm bringing in Mr. Stowers for the 415 Store Avenue case.
Okay. Mr. Stowers, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Do you have video?
Do I have video?
Yeah.
No.
No. All right, Mr. York, can we swear him in?
Yes, sir. Mr. Stowers, if you could raise your right hand, please.
Okay.
Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, we have case number 26-20, 415 Store Avenue. Mr. Johnson, do you have an update?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Case number 0026-21, address of 415 Store Avenue. Last reviewed January 13th, 2021. At that time, the board ordered that the owner contact myself and schedule an inspection. At this time, he did so. We inspected the property yesterday, myself and Mr. Dixon. He has cleaned out probably 90% of the trash in the various different classrooms that the fire department was concerned about. He put a plan together and submitted that plan by email this morning. And I'll leave him to speak to that. But we are satisfied that there is progress, but there is a lot more. There also was a lot more needed, but there was also a complaint by Akron Police that I received from our City Works work orders about open windows. While I was there, I brought that up to Mr. Stowers. He immediately had his crew repair and secure those windows.
Okay, Mr. Stowers, you care to weigh in on your plan and what's going on?
Yes, I submitted the plan this morning. Basically, I want to turn into a trade school. And I want to start with the annex building, which is attached to the property. That's where the trade school is going to start.
Okay. And do you have a plan on when, on time frame or?
Between May and June of this year.
Okay. Anything else you'd like to add?
No, that's it.
All right. Anyone else to speak in favor? Anyone to speak against? Mr. Johnson, what does he need to do, if anything, as follow-up to what you've seen?
Finish cleaning out the trash in the building. As I said, he's made significant progress, and they were working on it when we were there, but that needs to be completed. He needs to keep the building secure. It's a pretty large building with lots of windows, and I anticipate that he'll probably get continuous vandalism. He needs to keep an eye on that property and keep those windows and any doors secure, and allow us to continue to have contact and monitor the progress, as well as keep the building registered in the VBR as long as it's empty.
Okay.
Anything in the way of specific inspections or?
No, not on my end. Jamie may have a few.
Mr. Dixon?
No, we have nothing new. Just continue to clean up the trash like he's been doing, and just keep it secured. That's all we got.
Mr. Chair, could I ask Mr. Dixon a question?
Go ahead, Mr. York.
Okay. Mr. Dixon, does the building currently have an occupancy certificate? And if so, would it allow the type of use that he intends, which is a trade school?
To be honest with you, I don't know. I don't know if it has a certificate, and if he does, I don't know if it would be okay with the trade school.
Okay. Mr. Stowers, you might want to look into the occupancy certificate for your building.
Okay.
You probably want to start that process early because it can sometimes take time to get an occupancy certificate. So you don't want to plan on opening on a certain day and then realize that you can't. So you probably want to reach out to Summit County and Summit County Building Department. They're located there on Talmadge Avenue, but I know they have a phone number. I don't know what it is, but you could find it online and just inquire about your building, about the occupancy certificate.
Okay.
Okay.
Now I have a question. As far as the occupancy permit certificate.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the original owner was Akron City Schools. Will I have to apply for additional occupancy permit or?
Well, the county building department will be able to answer that for you. But generally the certificate goes with the building. But if the use changes, then you would need a different certificate.
I got you.
So that's really a question for the county.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Now, once I get that occupancy permit, I give it to you. Contact you guys, or give it to Mr. Johnson.
Well, you could certainly let us know you have it. Sure.
Okay.
That would
Okay.
be good. That would be very helpful.
Okay.
But even if you get that certificate, it doesn't necessarily mean that, you know, that you won't have to come back to this board anymore. So you've got to satisfy the board and you've got to satisfy the county.
Okay.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I've got a question for Mr.
Go ahead,
Stour. Mr. Stour, is this building going to be for multiple trades or one specific trade? And do you have instructors already lined up?
Yes, I have 8. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Could you repeat that, please?
Yes, I have 8 instructors that's in line, and it would be based on the building trades. So drywall, kitchen installation, flooring, roofing, all the trades that doesn't require a certificate.
All the trade that doesn't require a certificate, mean a state certificate?
Yes, a state certificate, like a license, like
Yes.
a licensed plumber or a licensed electrician.
Yes. Okay. Your instructors, are they certified?
Yes.
All right, thank you, sir.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone else? Okay. Anyone care to make a motion?
Mr. Chairman, with respect to 415 Storer Avenue 0026-21, seeing as approximately 90% of the trash has been removed, and they do have a plan forward with this proposed trade school, accepting the fact that they will have to continue to maintain a clean environment with windows and doors secure, and most importantly, comply with any occupancy permit plans with the county. I would propose that we bring them back for the June meeting and check on their progress then and see where we stand. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. York, do we know a date for that June meeting?
June 9th.
June 9th?
Mr. Chair, I believe your rules only allow a 30, 60, or 90-day extension.
That's 120.
So you may need to just go to the May 12th and then see where they stand at that point.
I'll revise that to the May meeting.
May 12th. Approximately 90 days. Okay, we have a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None opposed? Okay, Mr. Stowers, the board has granted a 90-day time extension of time. So please go to the county, inquire about your certificate of occupancy, and we'll see you back here May 12th.
Okay. Thank you.
Hey, Mr. Chair, there's no one waiting to speak on the Brown Street property.
Okay. All right. Hearing that, then we have case number 27-20. The address is 1134 Brown Street. Mr. Johnson?
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, case number 0027-20, address of 1134 Brown Street, last reviewed on November 18th, 2020. At that time, the board required that the owner to repair the roof, fix all fire violations, and set up a payment plan for the property taxes and register the property with the vacant building registry. To this date, we don't know if any of that has happened. We've had no contact with the individual. We haven't got an opportunity to see it inside, to see if some of the violations that the fire department had indicated, which I believe was mostly the fire load of items in there. So we have no idea what's going on with this building, other than the fact that we have noticed that one of the things we were concerned about was the commercial vehicles being parked in the parking lot. That seems to have deceased. The owner did state at the last meeting that he would secure that parking lot with a chain. He has not done that either.
So no contact at all.
None.
Okay. That's not good.
Could I ask a question, Mr. Chairman?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I was just looking at the pictures. Go ahead, Mr. Garrett.
Sure. Mr. Johnson, you mentioned in your summary that at the last meeting, the owner was ordered to register the property.
Yes, and I haven't seen any documentation that he has. Rachel, if you're still on the call, can you tell the board if that's that happened or not?
No, he is not registered.
Okay, that's all I wanted to ask about. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay. All right, anyone left to speak for or against? Hearing none. Members of the board. Anyone care to make a motion on this one?
Mr. Chairman, I got a question for Mr. Johnson before we make a motion, please.
Sure, go ahead.
Mr. Johnson, when was the last time we had contact with the owner?
The day of his last hearing, November 18th, is the last time I had any conversation with this owner.
Okay. Have you reached out to him to see if there's no possible illness or anything in that order?
No, I have not.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay.
Any other questions? Again, I'd ask for a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion. Just off the on case number 0027-20, 1134 Brown Street. Seemed like the owner have not complied with most of the issues at hand, but due to a possibility of illness, injury, I would like to just give a 30-day extension. If not, nothing is heard from or completed at that time, that we can start demo action then.
Okay. So that would be
That would be March 10th.
March 10th. Okay, sorry. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? None opposed. Before we move on then, I guess Mr. Johnson, could we make, at least some kind of an effort to contact the owner and let him know what's gonna happen if he does not address these issues?
I have no problem with that. That's not been our policy. We send out letters letting them know that there's a hearing. They usually contact us about inspections and so forth and so on. But if that's okay with Mr. York and Mr. Valley, I have no problem with doing
necessary for anything over and above. I just want to make sure of that, you know.
Yeah, I think, Mr. Johnson, it would be a good idea because if I'm correct, this person has appeared in the past, correct?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So I think the board members are a little puzzled by why he did not today. So I would recommend at least trying to give him a phone call.
We can do that.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, we have our last review case hearing, and this is number 28-20.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
I'm sorry. Mr. Mariner has been in the waiting room off and on. Well, he was in the waiting room for most of an hour and a half. He disappeared for about 5 minutes. He was back in about 2 minutes ago, and now he is no longer in the waiting room.
Mr. Chair, you might want to consider taking the next case out of order to give Mr. Mariner a chance to get back in.
Okay, that's a good idea.
Skip to the last one, and then we could circle back on Mr. Mariner's case.
All right. Let's go ahead and move then to the waiver case hearing. And this is case number 4-21, 556 Beacon Street.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, case number 0004-21, address of 556 Beacon Street. This is a waiver for a small building that is located on the property to the east of the main complex. The main complex is currently occupied with a up and running business, and they have signed a waiver to have this small building, which is pretty much gutted already, demoed.
Okay. So obviously they're not here. Nobody's here for this.
That's correct, Mr. Chair. There's no one in the waiting room at this moment.
Thank you. No one to speak for or against. Given the fact that it is a waiver, seems fairly straightforward. Does anyone have any questions or comments? Otherwise, if not, do we have a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion for case number 0004-21, address of 556 Beacon Street. Since there is a waiver for a demo, I'd like to go ahead and clear the way to have this demo.
Second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? None opposed. Unanimous. Move forward with the demo waiver. Okay. So that brings us back to 28-20. Is Mr. Mariner back yet?
Mr. Chairman, there's no one in the waiting room at this time.
Okay. Well, we need to move forward. So case number 28-20, 270 to 272 North 4th Street. Mr. Johnson, can you start with an update?
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, case number 0028-21, address of 270-272 North 4th Street. Last reviewed January 13th, 2021. At that time, the board requested that the individual remove all refuge, the car that was inside the building, repair holes to the property, and begin repairs on the foundation. I would like to report that the car have been removed. The foundation has started some work on that area. He has cleaned out that portion so we could see, you know, the structural issue. The fire department was satisfied that it could be repaired. The individual stated that his masonry contractor hadn't started to work because of the cold weather. There is still lots of trash inside the building, but when myself and Jamie were there inspecting, he had a contractor there giving him an estimate as to how much it would cost to bring that, to get that trash out of there. He has installed security cameras on the front of the building, on the east and west side of the building. The 2 holes in the rear of the building were still there. He told me that he would secure those holes with some plywood anchored, and then start the process of having his masonry guy fix those holes. I asked him to send me some photographs when that was completed, or at least contact me so I can come back out and re-inspect that. He has not sent any photograph or contacted me to come back out to make sure that was done. There
How
was
long
still,
ago was your inspection?
excuse me?
When was your inspection?
That was on Friday,
Right.
this past Friday. There was still some debris piled up that someone had dumped on the property. He said that he would have that done that day or the weekend. So far, we haven't seen any indication that that has happened.
Is he making a good faith effort in your opinion?
He's got a good faith effort. He's doing some things that look like, you know, he's trying, you know.
Yeah. Well, it'd be nice to have him here. He's made some promises, I know.
Yeah. I'd like Jamie to weigh in on some of the fire damage that was done in that property and structural issues on the inside, please.
According to our records, they had a fire there on December 19th of 2019. And in that area where the fire was, it would be on the 270 side. So it would be the western half of the building. And it looks like some of the floors burned away. Some of the either 2x10 or 2x12 joists for the second floor have burned away. And there's about at least a foot separating the two. And there's holes in the floor. So I went ahead and contacted our chief of our dispatch center and had them put notes in our dispatch notes to warn incoming companies of the holes, because that's a huge danger to firefighters. Now, that being said, the 272 side, the eastern side of the building, that looked pretty good to me. That looked pretty good and solid. So we're just talking about that one area on up on the second floor there on the 270 side.
Okay. Mr. Johnson, when was the last time you had contact with him? Was that the inspection?
Yeah, we were out there Friday, myself and Jamie.
All right. Well, again, disappointing you couldn't hang around.
The building, it needs a lot of work. It's going to take a lot of money getting it to get it up to code, as well as get it functioning for some type of business.
Looks like it. Looks like it. Okay. For the record, anyone speak against? Okay, I'll turn it over to my fellow members for questions. Thoughts? Hearing none, how about a motion?
I'll make a motion for case 0028-20, 270 to 272 North Ford Street. Given that there has been progress made and there seems to be effort to try to attend the meeting, maybe he had technical difficulties, we don't know. I'd like to make a motion for a 30-day extension to give Mr. Mariner a chance to appear before us and also make more progress of the requirements that Mr. Johnson listed.
Okay, so that is March 10th.
I'm sorry, March 10th, yes.
Okay.
Second.
We have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? None opposed. 30 days are granted. Just on the off chance that Mr. Mariner has other obligations, can we maybe move him to the beginning of the review case hearings next time? So that he doesn't have to wait around. I'd really like to hear from him next time. Other than that, is there any more business before this board this morning? Okay, Mr. Johnson, I'm assuming we need the usual signatures.
Yes, sir.
All right. I'll be home my usual time.
Okay. And I'll be out to see everyone else.
All right.
Okay.
Thanks, everybody.
Like we are now.
Yeah, take care.